How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another tier list for you. And we're going to be focusing on the top 4 race. So we've got the top 10 teams in the Premier League and we're going to be ranking them into these 4 tiers. So it goes from no chance to slim chance, good chance, up until nailed on. To be honest, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to rank these teams.
You reckon?
Yeah,
well,
in my opinion.
Might be a few surprises. You never know. It's a top 5 because 5th could be Champions League.
True.
As well. Obviously, 4th is officially Champions League.
Yeah, it's not official yet. Yeah.
Won't know until the end of the season. But at the moment, I believe England are top of the coefficient. So
they are.
if it stays that way, then 5th will become an extra spot in the Champions League.
Yeah, so what are we doing? Top 5 or top 4?
It's to get Champions League football. So right. I guess top 5.
Okay. And we're going to start off with West Ham. And in my opinion, it's no chance.
Yeah, I agree. No chance. I don't even think it's a slim chance. Even especially with them as well in Europe as well. That's all that's going to take out of them. To be fair, they're doing all right. They're 9th in the league and they had a pretty good start to the season. But I think they're not even going to get top 6. I can't even get in top 6 this season. It's so strong. The competition is so strong. The days where I think they finished 7th a couple of years ago. They were playing really well, but even that is, I can't even see that happening with the competition right now. Yeah, look, I'm impressed with like the squad or the starting 11 that they have. I think they got some really good players there, and maybe if they didn't have European football this year, there'd be like an outside chance of it. But even then, it would be like a really big outside chance. So. And I think they would probably need a new manager, to be honest, if to really get the best out of those players to be with any question of getting anywhere close to top 4. I look at their team and I think they got a better team than some of the teams we're going to put above them. I really do. But maybe. I just think the manager might be holding them back a bit. Yeah.
Anyway, so West Ham going to no chance. Next up, we're going to be looking at Brighton. And again, I think no chance again for Brighton. I think... they're on bad form, obviously, right now. Europe, again, I think is hurting them this season in terms of their league form. De Zerbi is a very good manager, but as well, with the players that he has at his disposal, I don't think they're anywhere close to anywhere near top 4.
I completely agree. I think a few weeks ago, we probably would have put them in slim chance. But
even then, I wouldn't.
I think I would have put them in slim chance a few weeks ago, but they've literally not won in, I think, 7 games now, 6 or 7 games. Europe's really affecting them. I just don't think their defense is anywhere near good enough, even like individually, to compete with these other teams. And they're going forward. Obviously, they're great to watch, but again, in terms of individual quality, they've got a bit of quality there, but it's not enough, I don't think, when you're looking at the teams you're comparing them to. De Zerbi's done a brilliant job, and I still think they might have a slim chance of getting into the top 7, but I don't think top 4 or top 5 even is realistic right now for them.
Yeah, to go deep into the Europa League and maybe try qualify for the Conference League, I think that'd be a really good season for them.
Yeah.
Next up is Arsenal. I mean, it's obviously nailed on for Arsenal. Finished 2nd last year. They look like one of the best teams in the league this season. I would say, though, if Declan Rice was to get a long-term injury, that could put it in the balance for them.
I would say, yeah. I would say that if Rice is very important to them, especially with Partey injured as well right now, if there was to be an injury there, then they would be in a bit of trouble. I would still think they would sneak into top 4, or top 5 especially, even if he did get injured. But especially as he's fit right now, they got to be nailed on, unfortunately.
They just look so solid with him in the team. They're not like conceding that many chances. I think they got the lowest XG in the league as well. Their attacking play has kind of diminished a little bit this season. I'm not really sure what that's down to, but look, they're getting through games.
I wouldn't say diminished, but it's got more. It's not as good as it was last season, I guess. Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right, so they go into nailed on. Arsenal. Next up is Tottenham. In terms of Tottenham, I think Tottenham have a good chance this year. I think injuries have put us maybe in the bottom side of a good chance, because I think injuries are holding us back massively. It depends when we get these players back. Like Van de Ven and Maddison are obviously massive players for us. But I think when you're looking at the other teams in the league, other teams not performing, I put us down as a good chance.
I definitely think we have a good chance, especially even with the injuries. The fact that we've given ourselves a bit of a buffer with the good form that we started the season with, it means that even if we have a bad spell now, like we should still be in contention by the time
the players come back.
The players come back. So And then if we can really hit the ground running again when they come back, like we have been first 10 games of the season, then especially with no European football, we're out of the Carabao Cup. I think the way we're playing at the moment gives us a good chance. Obviously not nailed on, and we definitely have more than a slim chance as well, considering in the top 4 we're 5 points away from Man United in 6th at the moment, but they are inconsistent themselves. So there's no guarantee that even if we have a bad run, they're going to take full advantage of it. So I think Spurs have a good chance of getting into that top 5.
Yeah, completely agree. Next up, Newcastle, which is an interesting one. Did finish in the top 4 last season. Form is a bit hot and cold. I think they started off pretty poorly with really hard games. Then they picked it up, and now they're up and down a little bit. Some good results, some bad results. I would say that they've got a fairly good chance of finishing in the top 4, but I think I think Tottenham do have a better chance of them finishing in the top 4. First of all, because we got no Europe. I feel like we got a better team, first 11 than them as well. Where would I put them? I think I put them in slim chance.
I was going to say slim as well, just because Champions League, I think their squad isn't capable of dealing with both Premier League and Champions League. It's not deep enough. Obviously, right now we're seeing them suffer with Isaac and Wilson both out injured. Means they've got a bit of inconsistent form. They started the season really inconsistently, and then they got their act together, started playing really well, getting big results against some big teams like Arsenal, Man United got some big results against. But I just feel like I look at their front line. I know Isaac and Wilson are both good strikers, but I look at their wingers, Gordon, Almiron, Joel Linton maybe plays there as well. I just think that when push comes to shove, are they going to be able to get over the line come the end of the season, especially if they're still in the Champions League? Albeit they could be out of it by
but they could be in Europa League.
If they're out of Europe completely, that might go up to good chance. But if they're still in Europe, I think come second half of the season, I think it's slim.
And Europa League could be even more taxing, the Thursday night, Sunday games. And as well, I think there's one extra round in the Europa League knockouts as well.
I think right now they're bottom, I believe. But who knows? We don't know where they're going to be. I'm going to say if they're still in Europe in any capacity, is a slim chance. But if they're out of Europe, I think it's a good chance.
I would put them in slim chance the whole way through, to be honest, because I think there are 3 nailed-ons here. I think Tottenham have a good chance, and I think Tottenham have a better chance than Newcastle, regardless of Europe. So I'm gonna stick with them at slim chance, regardless.
Top 5, remember?
Yeah, I guess if it's top 5, then I would say good chance. Next up is Chelsea. This is going to be an interesting one. I think we have seen improvements from Chelsea. Impressive draw against Man City. Obviously, they beat 9-man Spurs, which wasn't that impressive, to be honest, but they got the job done, scoring 4 goals. I feel like Chelsea are going to keep improving throughout the season, in my opinion. I think Pochettino's the perfect manager for them. They've got good players there, and Nkunku's going to be back pretty soon as well, which should improve them dramatically. I think they'll probably make some signings in January as well, which will improve the team.
More signings.
Surprise, surprise. So I'm actually going to put Chelsea... If it's top 5, I actually might put a good chance. But I think if we're only talking about top 4, I'd say slim chance.
I think slim, just because I feel like they might have given themselves too much to do right now. They're 10 points behind. I know it's only 12 games in, so a lot of time to recover that situation. But 10 points at this stage of the season is still significant. And I don't see any signs of them... They're clearly getting better, don't get me wrong, and they're putting in some good performances. Are there signs, though, that they're going to go on some really big winning run, which they need to do to kind of claw back that deficit? Even games where they're playing well at the moment, they're not always winning. They're sometimes drawing a lot of the time. And I just feel like it's still slim for me. Albeit, come second half of the season, will they benefit from not being in Europe when other teams are? And then will they finish the season strongly? I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. But I feel like even though it does happen, they might have given themselves too much to do. So that's why I'm going to say slim chance for Chelsea.
I don't know about too much to do. They're only 9 points outside the top 5. That's really not that much at this stage of the season. And without Europe as well, all the teams that they're going to be fighting for, Man United, Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, West Ham, all the teams above them, all in Europe.
They're 9 points, but 5 places as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of teams. You have to claw back. You have to hope each of those teams also are...
We've seen stuff like that done loads of times over the years in the Premier League. And I think with a team that keeps improving, I really think like we could... I would put them in slim chance, and even a good chance if it's top 5.
I said slim.
You said slim?
Yeah. Slim chance.
For what, top 5 or top 4?
I think,
because I even think top 5 could even be a good chance for Chelsea. Like, I see good things happening with Chelsea. I really do. And I consider them better than West Ham. I consider them better than Brighton. I consider them better than Manchester United at the moment. Arguably, Newcastle and Villa as well. Maybe not Newcastle and Villa the way they're playing at the moment, but I feel like they can progress to be better than those two.
I think they can, but still, even now, they're getting better. But I don't know. I just don't know if I haven't seen evidence yet that they're going to go on a good winning run. Kind of, they're still, results-wise, they're still inconsistent, although performances are definitely getting better. I guess I'm saying come the second half of the season, it could all change. I just think for now, I would still call it a slim chance.
Like, we've seen it before, haven't we, with ourselves or our own eyes with Pochettino teams, how just suddenly something can click and they can go on a good big run. And I think that's going to happen with them at some point this season.
I don't think we ever started the season this badly, though. And finished top 4.
Yeah. What about when we finished in the top 5 in the first year under Poch? Didn't we start really bad that year?
We did, yeah. We finished 5th. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, like, it could be a bit of a similar situation to that.
Maybe.
Anyway, we're going to stick with slim chance for Chelsea. Next up, we're going to go to Liverpool. I think Liverpool are nailed on, to be honest. Looking good this season. I don't think they're maybe looking as good as maybe some people suggested before the season started, but I do think they nailed on for top 4.
I think they're looking brilliant. I know they drew a Luton, but you have the odd results and performances where you're not at your best. Maybe that was one of them, but I think they've been brilliant. I really think they're title challengers this season for sure. I think every game they're usually the better team in every game and should be. And look, like most games they should be winning, to be honest. Now, from what I'm saying, I think Szoboszlai has been excellent since coming in. I think all their front players, they're all on good form pretty much right now. So I think they're a big shout, in my opinion, to go all the way.
You think they can actually win it?
I think they can, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, to be honest.
I think they're gonna I don't know if they will, but I think they're going to be City's biggest challengers. I think come May, it's going to be between them and City.
I've got a feeling like this title race is going to be nuts between these 3 teams, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. I think all 3 of them are going to go very deep in this title race.
I think Liverpool lasts a distance longer than Arsenal.
Yeah, hope so. So that's Liverpool nailed on. Manchester United, I'm going to go no chance.
No chance of getting top 5.
I know the table suggests otherwise because they're 6th at the moment with 21 points.
Form team in the league at the moment.
Yeah, but they're not really the form team. They're just about winning games, which they should be battering. Let's be honest. Like, they're just about getting over the line in these kind of games. And whenever they come up against any sort of quality, they get done every single time. And like I've said many a time, this Man United team, the way they're getting results reminds me a lot of how Spurs were under Conte last year, where we'd kind of just about get over the line with individual quality in the teams that we should be beating. But then when we put ourselves to any sort of test, or when we had put ourselves to any other test, we came undone every single time. And I think it's all going to unravel from Man United very soon.
It does have definitely the feeling of that right now for Ten Hag in terms of they're not playing well, but they're getting good results, scraping through teams, but nothing convincing whatsoever. Champions League, they're very likely, it looks like at this point, to be exiting the Champions League. Not sure whether it be bottom or Europa League, but then it becomes a bit confusing because if they exit the Champions League, all of a sudden they might have no European football next second half of the season. Could that benefit them? But then is Ten Hag still going to be here if they're out of Europe? That's another question. But then if he does leave, will that improve their chances as well if they replace a manager? So there's a lot of different variables going into Man United. I'm looking at the squad. I'm looking at where they are in the league. The way they're playing, I would definitely suggest no chance. I just think they're good enough to maybe put something together in terms of their squads. So that's why I put them in. I do think they got more of a chance than West Ham and Brighton. I would say they're closer to Newcastle and Chelsea than West Ham and Brighton, in my opinion, when it comes to chance.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So that's why I'd put them in slim.
Yeah, I agree they're closer to Newcastle and Chelsea, but still in my mind, there's no chance of it.
Like if I'm putting percentages on it, they still got, I wouldn't say, they've probably got less than 10% chance. They've probably got, like, at this point, between 5 and 10, somewhere like maybe 7 or 8%. And like West Ham and Brighton probably have under 5%. That's what I would say.
But still, like, when you're comparing the two, there's only like not that much percentages to split them, if you know what I mean. Like Newcastle and Chelsea's percentage, probably like, you could say like 20% or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a significant difference. So that's why if they're closer to Brighton and West Ham in the percentages, which you're saying, probably on that level then.
I would still call it a slim chance. That's what I'll call it. I wouldn't say it's no chance. I would say they still got a chance. They do. They can still sneak in there if things go their way. They got a good enough squad to do it. They got a good team.
Lost 5 games already this season.
But they won,
mad.
But won 7. You know, only one less than Spurs.
Yeah,
which is weird to think. Even one less than Arsenal at the moment in terms of games won. So I'm not saying they're playing well. Don't get me wrong. I know they're not playing very well. They only got 13 goals in 12 games, but that can turn very quickly. Football.
Yeah, it will turn the other way very quickly. There, those wins are going to turn into losses when they come up against proper quality opposition. Guaranteed.
I think they got a slim chance still. I still think they got a slim chance.
Well, I don't. I just can't see them getting top 4 for love nor money. Nothing. I can't see any chance of them getting top 4. Seriously, they're that poor. Every time I watch them play, I want to go to sleep. Every time I watch them play, I just think about how rubbish they are. Even when they win, like at the end of the game, you're just thinking, how has this team won this game? They're crap. Like against Wolves, they got completely outplayed in the first game of the season. Last few games, they've been lucky to get over the line against like Lutons and Burnleys and stuff like that. Like just about getting over the lines in that game when you're watching that game, you're thinking, they don't even deserve to win these games. Like, how are they winning?
It's true. But I'm saying, yeah, I think right now, if you're talking, right now, I'd say no chance the way they're playing.
Like, obviously, things can change throughout the season. You never know what can happen. But you can only go on what you've seen.
I know, but I'm saying like even like teams like West Ham and Brighton, like I can't even see it turning around.
But let's say West Ham sack Moyes in the next few weeks and get a really good attacking manager in.
They're left it too late, I think.
Well, you still say if they put a really good run together, you never know because they've got quality players.
No, I'd say still they've left it too late. They don't have enough. I would say United do have enough in their squad to make it. I don't think West Ham or Brighton do.
I don't think they've left it too late. We're 12 games in. What do you mean too late?
I think there's the 12 games is nearly a third of the season.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. Yeah, a lot of games to go.
You can't just. It's still significant. You know what I mean? I would say that Man United, all right, we can put them in no chance. But I'm just saying, I still think they got a slim chance.
Like to say it's too late after 12 games is crazy talk, in my opinion. It's crazy talk because West Ham could go on a run. They could beat Brighton, Newcastle, Man U, and Villa, and then they're up there.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
It might happen if they were to sack Moyes and get an attacking manager in.
I don't know. I think they left themselves. I'm saying I don't think they got enough in the squad to put that kind of run together. And there's 12 games is still significant. You've got a third of the season gone, and they're ninth.
Like 9 points, right, outside the top 5. What is it? Is it 9 points?
Yeah,
outside the top 5. No, even less. Yeah, less than 9. 8 points. Like you win one game, suddenly that's cut dramatically if you make points out of all the teams above you. Yeah, I know it's a lot of teams to make points up on, but then suddenly 5 points is not really a big significant gap.
No, I know what you're talking about. I know what you mean.
Anyway, Man United is there in no chance. Next up is Aston Villa, and I'm actually going to put Aston Villa in good chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think Aston Villa are looking really good this season, especially at home. They're blowing teams away week in, week out whenever they play at Villa Park. Away from home, I think their form needs to be looked at for sure because they don't seem to be playing with as much freedom away from home as they are at home, and they seem to be getting beat or having bad results quite consistently away from home. But if they can kind of brush that up, I think they got a good chance.
I do. I think they got a good chance as well. What I would say is, obviously, they're still in Europa League. They're doing well balancing both competitions, and they are playing really well. They are playing really well. You got to give them credit for, especially how their home form has gone. But will it? I do worry that in the second half of the season, it might catch up to them a bit. Will it start to fall flat a bit for them? I've seen it before with managers like Unai Emery. They can have like a really good period, and then all of a sudden they could, out of nowhere, they can start finding it very hard to get results because of just their style. And sometimes if they get in a rut, it can be very hard to turn it around. It's a bit like Spurs under Mourinho when it was going good, like the results were flowing, but all of a sudden when it started to turn, it was very hard to turn it back around. And I have a feeling it could be the same for Unai. But I think right now they're playing very well. They seem to have their first 11 fit for most Premier League games. So I think you've got to say they've got a good chance at the moment.
I was watching a debate on, I think it was AFTV. They were debating like the best managers in the league and stuff. And a lot was saying Unai Emery is like the second or third best manager in the Premier League.
Is there a reason why you would put Arteta over him in terms of their career?
I think but do you judge a manager just on what they've done in their career? Or do you judge on what they're showing right now? I mean, Unai Emery, he went to Arsenal and flopped completely, but he wasn't given as much time as Arteta.
Flopped, but exactly. In his 18 months he was there, he did more than Arteta's first 18 months, you know what I mean?
Well, Arteta won an FA Cup.
Yeah, but he got to Europa League final, you know what I mean?
But he won the FA Cup.
I know he won, but...
beating Man City, Chelsea and these teams to get there.
Yeah, he won the FA Cup, but Emery finished higher than him in the league and he got to Europa League final. So, he also did decent.
Got completely embarrassed in that Europa League final,
I'm not saying that it was what he...
And Arsenal should be getting to the Europa League final.
Okay, but and how many FA Cups they won? Or maybe they should win the FA Cup, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying, in the first 18 months, it's very comparable what they both did, 100%. You can't say Arteta did much better than Emery.
Yeah.
And Emery lost his job because he when you could have, some would argue, he did more than Arteta because he finished higher than him in the league and he still got to European Cup final. So, and you look how many Europa Leagues he won? What, 3, 4 Europa Leagues?
3, I think it is.
3? No, because didn't he win 3 with Sevilla and 1 with Villarreal?
Maybe.
And then he also got to Europa League final of Arsenal. So he has got an incredible European pedigree.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think league title, did he win one with Valencia? I think he might have won one. Did he win with Valencia maybe?
What, La Liga? Really?
Did he win one?
I don't think so.
I think maybe Rafa Benitez won one with Valencia.
I don't think it was Unai.
I don't think he's ever won a league title, but he's had a great career.
How would you compare him to Pochettino?
Who, Emery?
Yeah.
I think he's probably on a similar level.
Because Emery went into PSG and had a whole season, didn't even win the league in France.
Yeah, but then he won it the next season.
Yeah. I mean, Poch also, he also didn't win the league with PSG, but he came in at a very hard time.
He came in January, halfway through.
So, I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it?
What I would say about Emery is he's a very good manager, but I also feel like compared to some of the other managers like Klopp and Guardiola and Arteta and even Pochettino, he's just a bit more pragmatic, and sometimes that can hold a team back. It kind of has a ceiling, and that's maybe why he hasn't done as well in the Champions League as he has done in Europa League, and maybe that's why he hasn't won titles and stuff. But his methods, he's much better than I would say a Moyes or some other managers in the Premier League. What he's achieved, I got to give him credit.
I'm not sure if he's the top tier of not top tier manager, because I think he is a top tier manager, but I don't think he's a top tier manager for a top tier club, if you know what I mean. I always think he should be at the level below that as trying to be the underdog. I think that's where he's the best.
That's always where he's done well. Sevilla.
That's what I'm saying. When he's asked to be the favourite, I know he wasn't the favourite at Arsenal, but Arsenal are a very, very big club.
They weren't the Arsenal they were when Arteta.
Correct.
They just finished Wenger, so they were still really good.
They were good, but Wenger got sacked because it was all going wrong there. So they were on a downward trajectory.
Yeah, but yeah.
And he done very well at teams like you say, Villarreal, Sevilla. But then when he got asked to go to PSG and be the best team in France, he couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think I just don't know if he can hack it at the really big clubs.
I think that's probably a good point. That's what I think, because I think he's just a bit too pragmatic. I think that's what probably holds him back.
All right, next up and finally is Manchester City, and obviously they got no chance of making the top 4 this year, do they?
Bottom tier.
No, obviously they got their nailed on. So look, we made it. Here's the final tier list. We've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City as nailed on. Tottenham and Villa fighting for that 4th spot, with Newcastle and Chelsea got a slight chance of making the top 4, potentially going for that 5th spot for the Champions League. And then you got West Ham, Brighton and Man United with no chance. So I kind of feel like for Man United, there should be a chance between no chance and slim chance, and just put Man United in there.
Yeah, but I'm willing to go with no chance, because they've just been terrible this season, and even in wins that I've been watching, they've been terrible in those games as well. I think that list is pretty accurate. The only thing I think might change is I feel like maybe second half of the season Villa might drop into slim, and one of Newcastle or Chelsea could drop in to high good chance. But I think other than that, I don't see much of that changing, to be honest.
Yeah, me as well. But it'll be interesting to revisit this maybe in February time, something like that, and see where it's at. But currently that that is the tier list for the top 4 rankings. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think we're right? Do you disagree with us? Put your tiers in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.